All right, guys. I did some sanding off camera. I did 220 to, I got all the way up to 600. I did the nozzle here and this part here, this whole top band. I didn't do any part of this part because I haven't quite figured out exactly where that area is, because the T-tracks are not going to work for me. So I did go ahead and order some T-tracks from Roy at wanawanga.com, and those ought to be coming in the future, sometime, probably a few days. In the meantime, since I can't work on the barrel, I can't work on the T-tracks, that leaves the stock wherever it is. But before I can work on the stock, I need to do some experiments on how I'm going to finish it. So I've got some wood here. These are walnut scraps from the same board, I think, from when my stock was made. I'm going to sand them smooth, and I'm going to do a couple different treatments. I've ordered some stuff to do the wood stock. I've been doing a lot of research on how to do a gun stock, and how to treat it, and I have a few other experimental things. One of those is going to be a surprise. Another one was a comment that somebody left on my blog, where I could take like steel wool, and I think he said put it in water or salt water and it would oxidize, and basically if you rub the wood down with that, it would leave it a little gray, which there's a lot of gray on that stock, you know, so it'd be kind of a way for me to invoke some of those colors in a more natural looking way. So I'm interested in to try that out. I got a couple different other things that I'm gonna do, but I got to get this wood smooth. It's got a lot of texture on it. So I'm gonna be sanding, which is gonna be a whole lot of fun for you guys to watch. All right, so what I need to do is prepare this steel wool stuff, the steel wool stain, because apparently it takes a couple weeks to make it. It's not a just whip it out and do it. It's a, you got to make the stuff, and it's got to rest and sit for a while. So basically the ingredients are white vinegar, distilled white vinegar, which is super common stuff, and steel wool. You just put it in a jar, sits for a couple weeks. You take it out, you can strain it if you want, and then you can brush it on. It looks like, makes wood look great. Every wood reacts a little bit differently, so you need to experiment, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to kick this off first. So let me put a little juice in the jar. Maybe. Oh, this is brand new. I just trimmed my fingernails off. It's hard to get a grip on that. Alright. Spin that around. Oh, vinegar, you're my favorite. I'm not going to make a bunch because I don't think I'll need that much. I'm just going to take this old piece of fine steel wool, shove it in there. I got a couple other pieces like that that are kind of messed up. This little bit, shove you in there too, and just making sure it doesn't have any like weird stuff on it, because sometimes it does. I'll just use up all this stuff. Shove it down in there, and we're going to put the lid on, just set it on. It's not going to be totally closed, but we want to keep dust and particulate matter from landing in it. So just got to put it on there so it's still kind of breathable. And we're going to move on. Alright, I'm just going to hit these bits with the sander. I'm going to be able to do this with this on. I might just take that off. Hopefully I didn't fling sawdust everywhere too much anyway. Just going to get rid of these ridges on any pieces I see. Cool. I am filthy. That's good news. Well, I guess on to the next step. I think that's totally ready. This isn't going to be ready for like 2 weeks, and so I've ordered the true oil, which is what I'm going to be using. But I got to get one other thing real quick to do an experiment with. I'll be right back with that. All right, so here's the surprise treatment I'm going to try out. Fire. I basically just want to lightly toast the wood on the edges and stuff like that, and that's kind of a way I'm hoping that I can get some dark color out of it. I've seen some really cool things done with flames where they've kind of hit the edge of the wood and darkened up the grain in places, and so I'm kind of hoping I can get a really cool effect that'll darken it, but also kind of give it a weathered, used look, you know, because the stock on the Return of the Jedi blaster is very weathered. It is very black, but I don't want to go totally black, so I'm hoping that this will give me really good results. So let's try it out. We don't need that much fire. We want it to be not too hot because we don't want to incinerate our wood. So we got a decent flame going. All right, so they do this for leather shoes. See how they kind of have like a gradient on the shoes. You know, like they'll do like the seams and whatnot. And this is kind of how they do it. Basically, all right. I'd say that worked. It's pretty hot. I'm gonna cool it down with a little bit of water. I just want to make sure there's no embers anywhere on it. I was pretty good about keeping it just cool enough. I might have to sand it a bit after that because it burnt out some of the stuff that built up in the grain. And there's a few charred places where you can see it comes off of my hand. So I'll probably very lightly hit it with like a 220 and see how that looks. All right, got a wet paper towel here. Yeah, see, I got a little smoke there. Ooh. Little steam happening. Cool it down quick. That is what I'm looking for. Look at that. That's awesome. Boy, it dries out that water pretty rapidly. Yeah, look at that. Obviously, I couldn't do that part because that's where I was holding on to it. Because anywhere else was too hot. I'd burn my little fingers. Yeah, look at that. That's awesome. Nice dark color. And then get that with the walnut. And then if that steel wool stuff works out, I'll get a little bit of gray in there too. I gotta see how that works out. So when that is ready, little flame action there. When it's ready, I'll do an experiment with that on one of these sides just to see how it looks, because it could look terrible with the burnt stuff too. So that's basically what I have in mind, is burn it, use the steel wool stuff to get a little bit of gray, kind of used look, a little weathered look in it. Not too gray, but just a touch. I'll probably do that and then dilute it down a lot, and then just a very quick light coat, and then rinse it, and then do the true oil on top of that. So anyways, that's the beginning of the experiment on scrap wood. So right now we have experiment on scrap wood in progress. We have sand barrel smooth is almost done. I have one area that I need the T-tracks for, and I don't want to cut those T-tracks, but, and then cut T-tracks is the next another big thing that I'm kind of waiting on T-tracks for. I started it, but then I discovered they're not wide enough. And then everything else is waiting on those three things, except for the bare spot on the Webley, which I have brass black on the way. That's where we're at.